David Goggins is a motivational speaker, ultra runner, writer, retired Navy SEAL. To be honest, he's a lot of things. Goggins is especially known for his unbreakable mindset and his inside rage to succeed at what he does. This video is based on his book, the first one, and the different podcast credits are in the description. Thank you for listening. Over the years, the traumas and experiences, he developed a mindset that seems to be unique and unattainable. In this second episode, we're going to examine it and try to understand where this precious mindset came from and what is the core foundation for its existence.
Like, I see where I'm at today, but I know where I come from.
So born and raised in the United States, Goggins grew up in the small city of Indiana. The history of his family is tragic and close to the type of scenario that you will find in a superhero kind of movie.
Because a small town, what it does to you is it closes your mind.
You will adapt your reality to what you see on a day-to-day basis. Small towns are microcultures, which are separated from the outside world, meaning your way of thinking is a distortion, and it depends on the culture of the small town you're living in. The dynamics in the families are revealed, and a description of the dad is made, and it speaks for itself.
And he was a very insecure guy, and he was an alcoholic. He used to get women for favors. He was a guy that didn't care much about anything but himself.
His brother also talked a little bit about his dad.
You were raised through, lack of a better word, you're raised through force.
This wicked portrait of the dad is set, and the consequences of his dad's life choices will soon destroy his childhood.
Whippings are whippings, man. Yeah. And like, you're getting beat for no reason. The beatings were horrible, but the mind torture was the worst.
If the consequences of physical abuse are severe on the development of the child, there is evidence to support that emotional abuse may be even worse. He precisely describes why.
He got so deep in my head as a young kid, and that really fucks up your foundation. Self-esteem, courage, confidence, all those things.
The abuse destroyed the foundation of his identity and his personality. Because as a child, he's trying to survive in his environment, he doesn't have the space to grow, and he won't be able to learn properly. He will only be capable of learning the survival skills that are necessary for him to stay alive. If that is terrible during childhood, this aspect will allow us to understand his current mentality. The dad also destroyed his mother. Because of the violence that was happening at home, no one was able to live.
She set out the ultimate blueprint on how not to be. I think for her, when she left, I think that's where the damage really began.
Every member of the family was trying to survive on his own. It reinforced him into trying to save his mom from the monster. A mission that is tragic for a child that just needs to grow in a secure environment. During the splitting with the father, she stopped functioning and she fell in a black hole trying to overcome the situation.
The demons swallowed her whole, and it also swallowed me whole.
Growing up, he had no example to follow. Both his parents failed at parenting.
You know, I wasn't trained in how to build a human being from nothing. You know, like my mom didn't train me, my dad didn't train me. That while your dad did a lot of shit to you, you're gonna have to fucking make it on your own.
The chaos that he was born in pushed him into becoming an independent figure that grew almost parentless. He had to take on a lot of responsibility as a child. Responsibilities that never should have been on his shoulders in the first place. He took the best out of it by creating this toolbox that is the foundation of what he is now.
Raise yourself mentally. When you're already in the deepest, darkest dungeon of all time, I started really creating myself certain kind of indestructible toolbox to handle my life.
Even if he grew up in despair, it was still the soil that made him who he is now. Knowing that a figure like him has had a childhood like this is a profound illustration of the possibilities to change your fate with the right mindset.
For me, the whole money part of it, it's not what it's about.
Reasons are much more profound than that. Does that honestly look like someone making big money planes right there? I mean, come on. However, there is the presence of an intrinsic feeling of fear that is linked to the idea of death.
It comes from a disgusting place of not being fulfilled in your life, of afraid of dying, having never accomplished anything.
It's the fear of living a life that is senseless, a life full of regrets and lies, a life as a third-person view where you wake up every day watching yourself live, and that you are undeniably lying to yourself. Now imagine that day after day until the day you actually die. It's this idea of being the shadow of your own monster and not living up to your potential because you're swallowed by them.
That's what woke me up every fucking morning was, I'm gonna put myself through this much fucking pain and suffering for a few seconds. That's all it is. A few seconds of joy.
Okay, so pain is the second motivator. Nice. He truly understands the value of hard work, discipline, and delayed gratification. He embraces the process of acquiring these values over and over as a reminder of his worth. Pain seems to be for him the best indicator that he is fighting, and to keep on running is the only indicator that he is not quitting. But that's not it. He is a soldier after all, and he wants to serve his people.
I'm a guy who wants to make people better. For people to get better, I have to continuously get better myself.
And you cannot help others until you help yourself. This is the reason why he's doing what he does, which is pretty much screaming madman stuff.
Tape yourself. Listen to what kind of bitch you're being. Stay hard.
I truly hope that you felt understood and taken care of.
Nothing is permanent. And a lot of times you have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to train your mind well beyond motivation.
Motivation is not enough. He puts discipline as the basic value for growth to happen. Motivation is almost bad because it depends so much on your feelings. And if you still don't understand, with Goggins, we don't care about feelings.
Bitch, you're being.
You do what needs to be done regardless of how you're feeling that day. If motivation is not what you need to look for, failure is almost what you need to seek.
Failure is the ultimate thing, man. I failed so many times before. That's why I don't look at failure anymore as failure. I look at it as my first, second, and third attempt.
Failing equals that you are in the process. Stopping is the only thing that will end the possibility of changing. Failure is not an enemy. Failure is the opportunity to understand what went wrong and fix it.
We all have time. We all have time.
Time is no excuse. Telling yourself that you don't have enough time for you to get better is foolish. And that's why prioritizing is key.
Why am I not doing this for myself? Because that is the number one purpose in life. So many people that have the ability and just refuse to get off that couch. There was no growth until I cut myself down to nothing, to the person I really was, the real human being. And once I found out who I really was, that's when I started growing.
And that is where the transition starts. He needed to decompose his whole identity to take a look at what truly makes him. The concept of profound change in a person is undetachable from the idea of destruction and death.
And I was dying. I was living every day, but I was really dead. And so I figured it out. And once I figured it out, I was able to reborn.
The death of the person that once was and moving on is like a grieving process that allowed him to become another person.
How I build belief is through the daunting tasks I put myself through.
He needs to put himself through hard times in order to become the man he always wanted to be. He is trying to evaluate his potential with mental achievements that are discovered throughout difficult physical activities.
No one is patient. And for you to lose weight, for you to stop drinking, whatever the hell you're going through, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of time, and a lot of pitfalls, a lot of plateaus.
We're starting to see that it's all linked to a process. Patience is a virtue. It will allow you to keep trying, knowing that you may not see results immediately. It's probably the best ally you can have while trying to dismantle something that has been present in you for decades.
You must go to war with yourself before you find peace. So back to where this shit started, wherever that place is for everybody, and have the courage to go back there and start fixing what broke you.
And that's what he did. But for that to happen, he had to go back to the beginning of everything.
I had to look that man in the eye one more time, going back to the demon. So when I went back to him, I realized that that was the unsolved mystery.
His dad was the ultimate boss. He couldn't let a part of himself go. The last interaction with the father is liberating for him. And it's almost like he regained the power and the strength that his dad had depleted him of during his childhood. He finally could become whole because he got rid of the last demon that had been chasing him for decades.
Those demons from his father went to my father, and he tried to transfer them over to me.
This is a concept in psychology known as intergenerational trauma. This idea of induced trauma throughout the generations is explained by the interaction of the genes and the patterns of behavior that are taught to the children. Finally, this process will alter not only your perception of your reality, but also the perception of the people that surround you.
If you want to be great, you want to be the baddest motherfucker ever at what you do, you could be misunderstood by everybody.
Because you'll be working on yourself harder than most people and prioritizing yourself. Be aware of the reactions that will trigger in your environment.
Those people are in that grave, in that dungeon, just yanking at your heels, man, saying, get the fuck back.
Well, life is probably going to do its own thing, and people not worth it will disappear or worse, try to weaken your image. And that is okay. In the end, you are the one in charge of your life. And the people that you surround yourself with must be chosen and not endured.
I have all the tools through all the failure I went through trying to build this person who's Goggins.
But now let's talk about his creation, the product of all the suffering he has been enduring for all these years.
You have to want it. You have to want to be better. And it starts off with you have to have pride in yourself. You have to be proud of yourself. I was looking for strength my entire life. The one thing that made me who I am today is being vulnerable. At the end of the day, I asked myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is yes. Because we all think about quitting when shit's hard. But what you have to do in that 1 second is gaining control of your mind, putting things back in the proper perspective. I really do want to be here, and I'm going to have a bunch of these 1 seconds. Confidence comes from the thing that you built, and that is evolution. You must continue to evolve. You become very, very powerful when you overcome yourself. Nothing's a permanent fix, man. That's why I grind every day, because nothing is permanent. Because the very purpose is you. You are always the purpose.
Goggins is the perfect example on what overcoming your worst fear looks like and what will happen as a result. But for that transformation to happen, you need to stop lying to yourself first. You won't accomplish everything in a day, and that's why you need to make a promise with yourself. The promise of never quitting and always keep on trying despite the pain and fear is the one that needs to be made. If you want it enough, you will overcome whatever challenge that you decide to take on. And for that to happen, you have to trust the process and have faith in yourself.